One. Hey everyone, old school Pokemon here, back again with podcast episode number 19, joined by my usual co-host, Catch 'em All Collectibles, Dan. How are we doing tonight, Dan?
Doing very well. How are you?
I'm doing good. So I guess before we hop into the questions, I did just want to give you guys, the viewers, anyone who hasn't seen our previous video, the one that we did uploaded on Tuesday, Dan and I are doing a 25 days of giving and fundraising where each day in December, we're going to alternate posting on Instagram a giveaway item. And to enter, you guys are going to comment on that initial giveaway video for the first week. But if you haven't already, definitely go check that video out and follow us both on Instagram and YouTube. And then additionally, in conjunction with that, for every new subscriber that we gain through December 25th, we're going to be donating $1 to Leonhardt's NAMI fundraising campaign. So be sure to follow us both on YouTube so we can write out a massive check for Leonhardt's event. Speaking of that, how many new subscribers do you have right now? Have you looked recently?
14 or 15, I think, in the 2 days so far.
I'm up to 26 since we started. So it's working. It's working. Slowly getting there.
Yeah, and so anyone who hasn't gone and commented on Nick's video yet, his code word was turkey to be entered into the giveaway. And I'll give you a sneak peek into my code word, I guess, before I post it on Instagram tomorrow. So go back to my video that was posted Tuesday, comment Charizard for a chance to win the 4 packs that I'm giving away for December 2nd, day 2 of our giveaway.
Should be exciting.
Yep.
Okay. So
we'll right into the questions.
Yeah, we'll go ahead and hop right into the questions. I completely forgot to set my timer, but I always do that. But yeah, if you want to start with the first question there, we can start with you.
So Cardboard Origins asks, what is your least favorite base set card, not including trainers and energies? So initially when I read it, I was thinking that you would ask least favorite art, which I think I'm easy to please. There's no arts that really stand out to me as, I don't like that at all. I think I hear that a lot from people, especially with more modern stuff. And to me, it's just like, they're all fine. And some of them I like a little more than others. But the way that I'm going to interpret this is the one that is my least favorite to pull from a pack. And it might be blasphemous to say it in the presence of Nick, but Ninetales.
Yeah.
So my reason that's my least favorite card to pull is because you see that red border, and I've done it multiple times. So years ago, the first ever base set first edition pack I opened, it was a heavy guaranteed holo. I remember the feeling. I remember sliding that holo over, seeing the red border and thinking this was it. I'm going to pull a first edition base set Charizard, first edition base set Ninetales that graded the PSA 8. And it's happened multiple other times. I mean, I've opened a lot of base set unlimited product in the past several years, some even pretty recently, and just too many Ninetales. And it's always that like soul crushing. Like you get the lift up when you see the red, and then it just tanks when it's not Charizard. So there's my card and my reasoning. How about you, Nick?
For base sets, that's a tough one. Because I really like base sets. That's the original. That's my favorite set right there. But if I had to pick a least favorite, I would go with the Machamp, actually. Just because it's so weird. There's no actual shadowless Machamp. They all have the first edition stamp. And then with the unlimited Machamp, it's not actually an unlimited Machamp because it does have that first edition stamp. So the OCD and collector in me really is not a big fan of that card right there.
That's a good choice because that is an oddball one. And then you've got is it Trainer Deck B, right?
Yeah, Trainer Deck B has the Machamp,
There is a non-first edition,
but it's also a non-holo.
Yeah, it's a really weird one there, the Trainer Deck B one.
But yeah, that would be my my choice right there. So my next question is from Cardboard Origins as well. And he asks, what is your least favorite jungle card, not including trainers? And for this one was a lot easier for me. It is the Kangaskhan Holo. I cannot stand that card. I have seen way too many of those holos.
Which is in one of the theme decks, right?
That's in the
I forget what they're even named, but yeah, it's
Power Reserve, Reserve and Water Blast.
Vaporeon, yeah.
Yeah.
That's funny. I actually picked the same one, and
you picked Kangaskhan too?
I picked Kangaskhan too. I was gonna go with. I went with the non-holo just because I'm not a huge fan of the fact that a lot of the WOTC sets, well, Jungle and Fossil did like the holo, non-holo, same art.
Yep.
So thinking of Kangaskhan too, and I guess this applies for like Pinsir and Scyther, but they were such a pain in the butt to catch in the Safari Zone. So when I see that card, I just think back to all those times having to try to catch them in the Safari Zone. Should I throw the rock first, go right for the ball? Should I throw a bait? I don't know what, like, if there was an optimal play for that, but those were always a pain.
solid reasoning right there.
Yeah. So my next question comes from James P. I'm based in the UK, and it's a lot better to buy in the US and then resell in the UK than buy direct in UK due to difference in price. I've recently built up as a side project from 900 pounds investment to now owning a BGS 7 first edition Charizard. I've been looking into PSA 5 high-end cards, first edition base, crystals that have 5+ cert, and notice how harshly graded they are, probably due to consistency. What's your thoughts on buying those cards, cracking and resending to BGS on premium service to then flip back into the market with a higher grade?
100% agree about the 5 certs. I just want to throw that out there.
I'm not a big, regardless of what that cert number starts with, buy the card, not the grade. There are exceptions to every era. There's always accidents, high and low. So always just be buying the card, not the grade, regardless of the cert number. PSA to BGS, I definitely do think that's a play. BGS does seem to grade a bit softer on certain things. So years ago, I crossed, not in the grading softer category, but like I crossed over a Charizard from a PSA 9 to a BGS 9.5 because it was just a really clean 9. So there's opportunity in that range too, crossing a really clean 9 to a 9.5 that you're pretty sure wouldn't get the 10. So BGS's express fees, and I mean, even PSA express fees are really high right now. So I'm not sure how many PSA 5. I mean, I guess if it's a Charizard, it could definitely be worth it. But I'm just not a big fan of BGS anymore. I don't know if I'll ever cross to them again personally. Crossing the CGC would not be a great idea because your grade's likely going to go down in my experiences. The biggest exception being potentially buying PSA 6s that are 6s because of dents. I've graded Masaki marked cards with CGC that would have been PSA 6s, and they've ended up between CGC 7s and 8s, depending on how bad like the marks were. So there's definitely crossover plays there, but definitely a fair bit of risk with just how expensive grading is currently at all the companies.
Yeah, I would agree with you on that one. The one area where I disagree, and we've talked about this before, but the cert numbers, I'm a firm believer that the PSA has gotten stricter in their grading, and that the 5 certs are higher standard than previous certs. Obviously, you're going to have exceptions there, but overall, I do think that's true. But there's it's more or less an opinion. But as far as the question goes, I really dislike BGS. I've never graded anything through them myself. I probably never will, just because of personal preference. I think once you get into those lower grades with BGS, they're so inconsistent. So that's why you might have a better shot of a higher grade. If it's say like a PSA 5, you might have a pretty good shot of getting BGS 6, 7, maybe an 8. Some BGS 8s look really, really bad. But in terms of a business move to make money, make a profit, stuff like that, I think it honestly would be a pretty good move if the grading times and pricing weren't as much as they were right now. I don't know if it'd be possible right now, just because of how much you're going to be spending or how long you're going to be waiting to get those cards back. But if it was under like normal circumstances pre 2020, I think there was definitely potential there. And the last point I had with that is when you mentioned crossing BGS to CGC, I've done that before, just because, like I said, really don't like BGS. So I actually bought a BGS 9, no damage Ninetales, and crossed it with CGC. Came back as an 8.5, which I thought was definitely more realistic. It was definitely not a PSA 9. And then I'm also going to be doing that again. I recently won an auction through Rusty TCA Gaming for a BGS 7. I think it was a 7. I think it was a 7. Might have been a 7.5, but either 7 or 7.5. No damage Ninetales, and I'm going to send that one to CGC as a crossover with no minimum grade. So it'll be interesting to see how that one does. I don't think it's going to get a CGC 7. I think it'll probably it does not look like a PSA 7. I think it's going to be around 6. We'll see what happens with that one though. Mm-hmm. But yeah, that's my thoughts on that question. So my next question comes from Neusser P. He asks, what would be better long term, Eevee Heroes, Blue Sky Stream, or the upcoming Starbirth set? So for me personally, I wish I actually moved them, but I used to right there have a whole bunch of Eevee Heroes boxes in the background. I moved them upstairs though, but I'm a firm believer that Eevee Heroes is going to be one of the best Japanese modern sets to invest in or hold long term. I'm a firm believer in that. I personally think Blue Sky Stream is part of. So like Eevee Heroes was a lot different than Evolving Skies, but with Blue Sky Stream, it was more tied into Evolving Skies, if that makes any sense there. And I personally think that the English side of that set did better. They did a better job, if that makes any sense. Where with Eevee Heroes, obviously you have so many Eevee collectors out there, whether that be Eevee, Jolteon, Vaporeon, whatever, and that set is just solely based on those cards. So I think that set, where we really didn't get an English equivalent to Eevee Heroes exclusively, I think that set's going to do well long term. I am curious to see what's going to happen with the new set, Starbirth or Brilliant Stars. There's a lot of cards in that set. Have you? Yeah. Well, we'll talk about that after. I'll let you answer the question first.
Yeah, these new sets are too big. I'm not big on Japanese sets. The only one of these 3 sets that I own boxes of and will own boxes of in a year's time is Eevee Heroes. So that's where I'm putting my money. I'm not guaranteeing that it will be best. I'm just telling you what I'm doing to best answer the question. I honestly have less than 6 or 8 different Japanese sets in total, and they're all from the recent years. If I see one with a interesting looking box or someone that seems extra hype, I'll pick up. I don't have like a Japanese connection, so I'm just picking these up at market on eBay. So I'm not making really big plays either, but EV Heroes for me.
Now, do you think EV Heroes will be better than the 25th anniversary?
I haven't picked up any 25th anniversary yet. I'm trying to behave and not buy too many different things because I've just got a big backlog of my own, and I'll probably pick some up at some point though.
I bought. Were you gonna say something?
No, go ahead.
I bought 25 boxes of the 25th anniversary, and then each box came with 4 of the promo packs, so 25 boxes and 100 of the promo packs. And I do think those will do well. But I think the English side did better with celebrations than the Japanese side, just because within the boxes you don't get any of the classic collection cards. Those come in the little promo packs that you get one card in. So I think the English side of celebrations is almost better. But if I had to guess, I think EV Heroes will even do better than the Japanese 25th anniversary set.
Yeah, I like celebrations a lot. I'll have to take a look at pricing on the 25th anniversary set in Japanese, and maybe I'll buy a bit of it.
I got mine for 120 for the box and the 4 promo pack combo. But the other thing I wanted to ask you with this question is, have you seen the Brilliant Stars leaks that have been coming out lately?
I've seen a couple things in a couple different Discords. I didn't really look too. I try not to look at too many, especially the Japanese spoilers, because I'm not going to be buying the set anyways. But
yeah,
you have any major thoughts on them? Or
there is like a million hit cards in this set. It is absolutely absurd.
Yeah, these new sets are just too much, too big. That's why Celebrations was refreshing. I opened a complete set, everything you can pull out of packs in a couple hundred packs. And I mean, even that's a lot compared to like, I mean, Fossil Jungle, you could open a couple boxes and pretty much have everything. If maybe you'd miss 1 or 2 random cards, but these new ones, it's like you got to open 3,000 packs and you'll still be missing. You look at Dirium's opening of 1,000 packs. Yeah, he's missing like 20 cards for a master set.
It's absurd.
Yeah, too much.
Yeah, these new sets are just way too big.
Yeah,
they gotta tone it down a little bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think we answered that one pretty good.
So my next question comes from Island Hustle. What are your guys' thoughts on PSA 8s in terms of WOTC era non-first edition? I know everyone always says 9s and 10s are good to hold on to. Do you guys think there's still tons of 8s out there? Thanks for always having a good discussion, by the way. So WOTC era non-first edition. It's not mentioned Holos. So I guess I'll just
assume he's meaning Holos.
I would assume it's meaning Holos. If you mean non-Holos, I really don't like the thought of WOTC 8 unlimited non-Holos. Assuming you're meaning Holos, I'm still not a huge fan. 8s are... So the further you go down in PSA scale or even CGCs, there's wider ranges. Like a 10 is generally a 10. It can only have very minor, a couple imperfections at most. A 9, there's more ways to like make a 9, more different types of damages or issues to make a 9. In 8, there's even more. So like a really clean 8 is a pretty nice card. There's a lot of pack fresh cards that grade 8s. My Shadowless Charizard I pulled graded an 8. So If it's a really clean 8, I like it more. If it's average 8, unlimited holos, base especially, if you're talking base unlimited, I'm there's a lot more PSA 8 unlimited base holos out there, I think. I'm never going to grade my childhood set, but like a handful of them are probably 8s. And there's just so many of those in closets and attics around the world. If the prices were to ever like get a bit high on them, a lot more would and could be graded. So first edition, I like the 8s a little bit more, but still I'm a 9 guy generally. They're just a good combination of value and condition. I think 10s are going to be the safest from like pops increasing too much more, but you're paying quite a premium to get it. 9 is just that sweet spot for me. Eights are just gonna, those pops are gonna be prone to increasing a lot more the further you go down the scale. So anything else to add there?
Yeah, no, I pretty much agree with everything you have there. Unlimited 8s, I would say good for if like you're building a collection. I I have a PSA 8 first edition base because I could not afford 9s at the time. So I think 8s are good value for like if you're building a collection or something like that. But unlimited 8s just to hold on to for like a long-term hold or something like that. I don't think it's a good idea just because there's probably a lot more PSA 8s, like what you were saying, that are going to be entering the pop versus 9s and 10s. So for unlimited WOTC Holos, 9s and 10s all the way. If you're talking first edition WOTC Holos, then I would include 8s as well.
Yeah.
With unlimited, just 9s and 10s, for my personal opinion there.
Yeah, and I'll go into it more in a later question, but if PSA really scales, as Nat has mentioned they intend to 20 million cards a year graded, there's going to be a lot more cards coming out in PSA slabs over the next, I mean, I'm here for the long haul. I'm here for decades. And my biggest thing is like, I don't want to buy today cards that I think are going to be cheaper in 5 or 10 years. And I think PSA 8 unlimited holos are just one of those things that anytime the price drifts up and there's incentive to grade them, there's just so many of them out there that people can send, and they're not going to be hitting 10s often. 9s they're going to be hitting a bit more. 8s they're going to be hitting a lot more. So yeah, I'll get into a PSA grading volume thing later on a bit more.
I'll add this too. There's especially base, jungle, and fossil. There are a lot of PSA 8 quality holo cards that I've sold as near mint condition on eBay.
Yeah.
Haven't even, well, obviously you can't grade them now, but even before that, I would always just stick with, for unlimited holos, I would always just stick with ones that I thought would get a 9 or a 10 to grade, and then anything 8 and below was just sold as individual cards.
Yeah, same here.
So my next question is from John. He asks, do you foresee Pokemon eventually doing the 1 of X artificial scarcity cards? If so, how do you think the prices of these will compare to trophies or PSA 10 high-end set cards? Personally, I don't think Pokemon will ever do like I know first edition prints have been something that a lot of people want to see happen. But I don't think Pokemon will ever do something like that where it's a 1 of 100 or anything like that type of card. In my opinion, I think Pokemon really doesn't pay too much attention to the collectors as they do the players. I think that's their primary focus, is the actual people who are playing the game versus people who are collecting the cards. Obviously, they have started doing some stuff with like the alt arts and stuff like that, but I don't think we'll ever see a time where they do something like sports where it's of 1 of 100 or anything like that. But let's assume they did. Assuming they did, in terms of pricing, I don't think it would be really interesting to see what happens, just because of what's been going on with Modern and how expensive some of this Modern product got during the 2020 hype, and even this year. But I honestly cannot see pricing of like a 1 of 100 or whatever number you put, being anywhere close to a trophy or a high end PSA 10 card. I think it would be a lot lower than that. But it's interesting because modern does have a massive following right now, so it could very well happen. There's some crazy people out there.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy what some of these PSA 10, especially BGS 10 black label cards get right out of the gate. I think Hidden Fate's Charizard, the first one sold for 10 grand.
Yep.
And then people made a joke of it, and it was all, I had my eye on them when they dipped all the way down to like 2. And I think I had told myself if they got down to 1, I was going to buy a couple. They're back up several $1,000s, I think. They're not back to $10,000 anymore.
I think they're like 6 or 7 though.
Yeah, they're several thousand. They're solidly north of 5-6 grand, I believe. And there's hundreds, I think, or at least more than 100. There's a lot of them.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of them. Yeah.
So I think that just shows you what modern cards could do in certain ways. So my take is kind of counter to yours.
Oh boy.
25 years from now, sitting at the 50th anniversary, I think a lot of people just like project the insanity of the past 2 years out into the future, like perpetually, when they project where Pokemon will end up. I anticipate that, I don't know when, I don't think it'll be in the next 5 years, but in the next 25, at some point, there's going to be a lull. I'm not saying the depths will be as deep as the EX, Diamond and Pearl, Heart Gold, Soul Silver eras, but like it's got to cool off at some point. It's going to. There's going to be, like, for the past few years, they've been printing 2 billion, 3 billion, 3.5 billion, more cards every year. At some point, that's going to slow. Profitability numbers are going to go down. You see Magic right now, Hasbro, Wizards of the Coast, Magic, they're doing all this secret lair stuff. Just recently, they came out with serialized cards. I don't know if it's 1 of 100 or whatever, but Magic's reaching into the bag of tricks because they're seeing some numbers they don't like. I think that Pokemon will keep a close eye on what Magic's doing, and I think it's going to be successful for Magic. It's successful for sports. So if I had to bet one way or another, I think the odds are greater than 50% that they do it within the next 25 years. That's a long time frame. I don't think I'm making too big of a reach stating that, but the way that I envision it, and I don't really keep up on Magic, I don't know much about it, but I think it would be I believe this is what Magic is doing, more of a direct to consumer model. This wouldn't be something that would go through distributors. This would be something they'd do on the Pokemon Center directly, and it would be 1 of 1,000, 1 of 100. I don't know if it would be special boxes where you could get these as a hit, or if it would just be special, like Secret Lair. I believe you're just buying a preset amount of like certain cards. I believe. I don't even. Do you know fully on that?
I do not know.
I think the way these serialized Magic cards are coming, I don't think you're opening packs for like random serialized cards, but maybe you are. I could see something similar though with Pokemon, like not in these booster boxes. It would be like a separate, distinct product that didn't go through normal distribution channels. Because if you did that, I just think it would get really wonky. It would get kind of like screwy, and you'd have distributors holding on to stuff and not wanting to sell it. So it would be some kind of direct to consumer model to really beef up those profit margins.
It would have to be direct to consumer.
Yeah, I think we'll get there, honestly. Hopefully they figure out the whole botting problem before then, so it's not just bot city.
Seriously, yeah.
But that's the kind of product that, getting to the second part of it, I think some of the prices could be really silly. I tomorrow, if they dropped a 1 of 100 Charizard that was a gold star shining VMAX rainbow, whatever you want to call it, like if it was just 1 of 100 crazy Charizard thing dropping on Pokemon Center, $1,000 a piece, they'd sell out in 3 seconds, and PSA 10s would be selling for more than $10,000 within a couple weeks, I think.
Well, see, I guess it depends on like what trophy, because I'm thinking like an Illustrator, a Pika trophy,
well, high-end set
PSA
cards.
10 Charizard.
When you talk $10,000, that is above every set card except for like the Rayquaza Gold Star, the Shining Charizard first edition, the base first edition Charizard. I mean,
it's above the majority for sure.
If this card were to come out as I just described it, I think that would be a $10,000 card. It's kind of silly, but I think it would be, which is more than, what is that more than? Every PSA 10 base first edition aside from Charizard, Blastoise, Chansey, Hitmonchan. So
there's a few of them, but the majority for sure.
It's probably more than half of them.
Yeah.
And it would be more than every jungle, every fossil, I believe. Snorlax got above 10,000 for a little bit, but he's not up there anymore.
No.
Some of the Neos obviously are really high. Some of the Gold Stars are really high, but it would be higher than 95% of set cards, which would put it into that high-end set card territory. As far as trophies, depends on what you define as a trophy. It wouldn't be up there with like, well, who knows? I mean, I'm saying that it would be more than 10,000. If one were to black label, it wouldn't shock me if it sold for $30,000 or $50,000 or something. Like,
that would shock me. That would blow my mind right there.
Sample Mothman right now. Metazoo is
I don't understand anything about
Metazoo is tiny relative to Pokemon. Sample Mothman is selling for 30 grand from what I've heard.
That is so absurd to me.
If you enter a Charizard in that's 1 of 100, somehow if they were to the worry would be that over the next 10 years they'd make 30 more 1 of 100 Charizards. But if somehow they stated like this is going to be the only one, or this is going to be unique in some way, whatever, I could see it beating Mothman. I mean, Pokemon is huge.
Yeah.
So
that's true.
Mothman within a year out of the gate is getting 30 grand, a 1 of 100 PSA 10 sample Mothman. So I could see Charizard getting 50, and that puts it right up. It's not up there with the original Pika trophies, but that's more than the PSA 9 half art Pikachu's just went for, second place. So yeah, I think it could be up there battling. And we're talking 1 out of 100. What if they get really crazy and it's 1 out of 10?
1 out of 5, 1 out of 10.
Like you see it in sports. In sports is a whole different animal, but all these 1-of-1s going for $1 million plus, 100,000, 50, whatever. Like,
I'll never understand that.
I don't either, but it's out there. So it wouldn't surprise me.
I would say it's just why are you paying more for just a stamp? But it's the same thing as the first edition stamp.
Yeah.
We're paying more for those cards. So I guess it just comes down to what you like. I would never pay anywhere close to that for something like that.
I don't see it within the next 5, probably not even the next 10 years. But when Pokemon comes up on some lull, it's bound to happen. It's not just going to be this absurdity for 25, 50 straight more years. They know that's there, that bag of tricks they can open up and do whatever. So
it'll be interesting. It will be interesting.
I'm along for the ride, whatever it is, and I know I'm not going to be buying any cards that are worth that much.
I was just going to ask you, are you going to be buying one of the one of whatever cards?
I might buy some of the products and try to like pull some crazy ones, and then I'll be trading it for the trophies. That'll be my strategy with that kind of product, I guess.
Makes sense. I'd probably do the same there.
But yeah, I like that question. That's a good one.
It was a good one. I'm glad we actually disagreed with that one.
Yeah, it's good. It's good when we can have countering takes on something.
Yeah.
That was yours. So my next question comes from Celebi Collectibles. There are a lot of older sealed products still out there that have guaranteed hits in them. Those hits are usually in gradable condition. Last year, a lot of cards reached record PSA 10 prices, far higher than the sealed product costs to open and grade. Easy example that everyone can understand was Hidden Fates promo Charizard GX selling for 100 plus. Oh, that's the tin promo.
Mhm.
While the tin itself and grading cost was only like $35. I've got that promo right there in PSA 10. I got about 50 of them, I think. So that card's down to $50 now. But had you bought the tins for 35, paid the $750 grading, now you've got a $50 card plus the 4 packs. I still did well. So it's crazy to me that card is still worth $50, but I was doing it with like the tins. I was doing it with Champions Path ETBs. I graded a lot of Sword Shield 50. I graded a lot of SM210, the Hidden Fates ETB, the shattered glass or stained glass bird promos.
Yeah.
I did it with vintage product too. One thing that I've opened a lot of is 2-player starter sets. Charmander's my boy. He's a play set in that. And then you've got the Machamp. You've obviously got the chance that it's shadowless if you look for the right things. And
Charmeleon.
Yep, you got 2 Charmeleons, you've got Diglets, Machops, you've got a decent set of species there to grade. So I had opened in the past a fair few of those. So I graded a lot of the ones that I had raw kicking around. I had a couple other random things. I almost bought, that snowflake calendar, kind of an obscure thing.
Mm-hmm.
Rusty's done videos on it. That's probably where I originally learned about it. But
the one that got destroyed in the mail.
yeah, I almost bought a couple of those because I was looking at like the EV of it. Some of the graded singles were going for pretty high. The calendars weren't too expensive. I didn't go for it, but I had a couple Rumble boxes kicking around that were in rough. They were sealed, but in rough shape. So I just cracked them to get the singles. I figured nobody would really want it sealed, and the cards are actually coming back tomorrow. So I'm interested to see how they graded, how well I do selling the graded cards versus what I could have gotten selling it sealed. But yeah, I think that's something that pops up sporadically. It's always kind of been a thing. Like even today, prices are down 80%, 90% from the peak on some of those base unlimited cards that show up in the theme decks. I was selling Charmander. I don't know what Charmander's going for now, but I was selling them for $500-600, the unlimited Charmander in 10.
Does not make any sense.
I've got to imagine it's down around 100 now, which I guess would be like 80%. But yeah, 2-player starter sets are going for a couple hundred now. So I don't know what Machamp's doing either, but you buy one of those, you got 4 Charmanders, and it's always been a thing to some extent. So it's always been something I've been doing to some extent too.
Oh yeah. Now what was hold on. I gotta reread this. What was the actual
The question is, have you ever been like buying products for a lot of maybe I didn't even finish reading it. Did I? For a lot of products, this crooked price of sealed versus graded was super obvious. Did you break open any niche products to grade for massive stonks? I guess I never read the question. I went right into answering it halfway through. Okay. And do you suspect other people were onto the same items? So if you look at the pop of that Charizard from the tin, I think it's above 10,000 graded already. It's a lot. I'm curious. That's now.
Crazy. I know the Champions Path one's up there. I didn't realize the Hidden Fates tin was so high too. It would make sense though, because
it's not fully there yet, but it's awful close. There's 4,000 PSA 10s, almost 3,000 PSA 9s, and then about 1,000 below. So 8 or 9,000. It's
How about the Sword and Shield 50?
Sword and Shield 50.
Because I think that one might be
above
more.
That's above 10,000.
That one definitely is. And I'm sure there's a lot more sitting at PSA right now waiting to be graded of that card. But I'm trying to think. Stuff that I've opened to grade. I really haven't done that too much myself. I have done a few of the Shadowless starter decks. Just grading. Like I purchased a whole bunch of Shadowless bulk off of Gary, King Pokemon, a couple of years back. And included within that purchase, there was like 30 of just the common and uncommon decks. So you get like 2 of the 30 packs per deck. There were like 30 sets of those. So I did open up those, grade the Charmanders, the Charmeleons. Still have a whole bunch of them to grade at some point in the next 10 years. But aside from that, I've never really opened product to grade cards. It's always just been buying collections, setting cards aside to get graded, stuff like that. Recently, I have been buying some cards in bulk that I do want to grade. Stained Glass Birds, Charizard V from Champion's Path, Greninja Gold Star, stuff like that. But I never really got into that whole opening product to grade cards type of thing.
I don't know why it wasn't coming up easily, but the Sword Shield 50, 15,800 have been graded.
Oh my god! How many 10s are there?
9,481.
That is crazy. But for even, well, it depends on what grading reopens at. Whenever they do reopen bulk, even if that card drops down to $50, which I honestly can't see it dropping lower than that.
I think
you're still doing good at a PSA 10.
I think it's rated about 50, which in a lot of ways is crazy. It's 60 right now, is the cheapest on eBay.
Okay.
And in a lot of ways, that's crazy. Like the market's holding at 60 where there's 10,000 of them. I mean, that's, I mean,
I don't know. I think $50-$60 off of that card is such an easy purchase.
But people who bought, it's an easy sell for me. for I mean, you can still buy the ETB for what, 100, and it comes in there with 10 Champions Path packs, which sell for like 8 each.
You can buy just the sealed promo for $8 to $10.
Yeah, so 50 seems like a lot for
a PSA 10. I don't think that's too bad.
When grading becomes 750 again, and they're grading 20 million cards a year.
we don't have to worry about that for a long time.
Yeah.
I'm glad you said grading's going to come down though. Mr. Pessimist saying grading's never going to be $10-$20 again.
If they, I don't fully believe them that they're going to scale to 20 million cards a year, but if they do, it will. I think they'll hang out more in the 10 to 12 million a year range, and it'll bottom out at more like 15 to 20.
I'd even be happy with that. 15 to 20 would be a good price point.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be okay with me. I can get on with that one. So my next question is, let's see here, from Kai-O. asks, took the community like a year to figure out how CGC scales and the relative market, or how CGC scales and the relative market for it. Will be very interesting to see if a CGC one day trumps a BGS 10. Could happen if BGS doesn't pick up their act. Can you guys discuss this in the next podcast? So we've talked about this. Before, but it's always a good topic. I personally think that it will happen eventually. I think CGC is just a little bit too new right now. There's people who don't even know CGC is a grading company still, which is hard to believe, but those people do exist out there. I like it. My biggest issue with CGC 10s versus BGS 10s, the one and only positive thing that I will ever say about BGS is I really do like the BGS Black Label. I think that looks really, really good. And I don't think CGC does enough for their perfect or pristine 10s. The only thing that they do differently is they change the coloring of the 10. I wish they would. Yeah, exactly. I wish they would add something cooler, kind of like how BGS has the Black Label. I kind of wish they would do a whole different label design for a CGC 10 where they're so hard to get. But yeah, in the long-term future, I do see CGC pricing beating out BGS pricing even for the 10s. And then just going all the way down the line. I think so. Like right now, I see PSA as being like the number one grading company. That's where the majority of people send their cards to. That's where you get the majority of your value. Right now, I see BGS as being number 2, but CGC is number 3, closely catching up to BGS in terms of the number of cards being submitted there and the pricing that you get between those two companies. So that's what I would say for that one.
Yeah, I agree on all of that. I think one thing that's going to be super interesting, and I believe it's coming soon. Isn't CGC supposed to release pop reports by the end of the year?
I haven't heard that.
Or did I just mix that up with WATA? WATA did just release.
WATA just released their pop reports.
Just the NES ones.
Yeah.
So maybe I'm mixing that up, but I think CGC is supposed to be like coming soon, which I think it's been coming soon since they opened over a year ago.
Well, Yu-Gi-Oh is coming soon back in April.
Yeah. It'll be super interesting to see. I've mentioned this multiple times before, but like a card like this, Sword Shield 50 that we were just talking about, we know that 60% of them are grading 10s at PSA. It's such a new card. You know that everything being submitted is like pack fresh from the sealed promo. So when you do like a distribution of the 16,000 cards that were graded at PSA and you overlay that distribution with the thousands of cards graded at CGC, it'll be really telling. And BGS has probably graded hundreds or thousands of them as well. It'll be really interesting to see how where the distribution centers on. And I think people will be shocked at how few 10s come up. And I think that'll do something really well for CGC 10s pricing wise. It might do something negative towards like, oh my God, I didn't realize it was so hard to get a 10. I don't want to submit my cards there. So it might almost have like a deterrent in that way. But I think people will really start to understand more just how hard the 10s are. And I'm not the guy who pays a massive premium for like minute differences. So I'm not going to be the one paying higher than BGS 10 and or PSA 10 prices for a CGC 10. But I can see a day where the market is just like the Black Label and the BGS 10 pristine. Yeah. So that's where I'm at with it. If we ever see, be interesting to see maybe Gary and Logan Paul have a boxing match over the first CGC 10 pristine Charizard that gets graded.
Speaking of a pristine 10 Charizard, did you see the 9.5 CGC graded?
I did.
I what are your thoughts on that? I as much as I like CGC, whoever sent that to CGC, I think was an idiot, because I would imagine that's got to be a PSA 10. And I think it cost a lot of money sending to CGC versus PSA.
It didn't have subs, right? Or did it?
I don't think it did.
I was actually, someone reached out to me, not the owner, but someone on behalf of the owner. And I just, yeah, that's not really something I'd be looking to buy at the price that they're asking. And they're asking like a price that I would ask. I would ask for a premium over PSA 9s, but
oh yeah, definitely.
I told them, when someone sees a CGC 9, all 9.5, all they're going to think is that's a PSA 9.
Yeah.
If this was a PSA 10, they would have put it in that case. So I recommended, hey, supposedly it hadn't been to PSA yet. Supposedly it went straight to CGC. I said, you should spend $1,000 or whatever it would be, try it at PSA and go from there. Because if it hits the 10, you're getting more than double you thought you were going to get for the whole set for the one card.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't, it's tough, because I mean, PSA 9s are 25-ish thousand, I think.
Mm.
I'm not a buyer on that card at any higher than PSA 9 prices. I'm the kind of guy that would take a clean PSA 9, cross it to CGC or BGS, sell it for more, buy more PSA 9s, and try to do it again. I just don't pay that high-end premium for that. I'm happy with 9s. 9s look good to me.
Yep.
You've got to spin the card around and take out your magnifying glass to find out why it's a 9 and not a 10. So I'm not going to pay multiples in price for that.
Yeah, I was surprised to see that got graded with CGC, especially now, because I didn't know it hadn't been graded with PSA, but especially now that you mentioned that it hadn't gone to PSA yet.
That's what I heard. I'm not guaranteeing that in any way.
Yeah. But yeah, I would have definitely sent that to PSA first. If it's that clean, a 9.5, that's got a pretty good chance at a 10.
Yeah, I'm still waiting on my heritage wins. I'm super excited to get those in, because I got in a complete CGC graded holo set, and some of them were 9s, some of them were 8s, but they were like pretty clean, pretty nice. I might look into doing like express plays, changing them from a CGC 8.5 to a PSA 9, maybe even a CGC 9 to a PSA 9 is going to get premium on a lot of those cards, because CGC just doesn't have the acceptance yet. But I'm still waiting to get those cards in.
Wait, what set are these? Not the jungle and Jim.
Those I bought months ago now, and no, I sent you the Squirtle. I posted this.
Oh, that's right. Yes. I don't think you told me. You didn't tell me what else you bought. You said I'm gonna have to wait for the video.
Yeah, and the video's like maybe early 2022. I snail mailed the check. It took me like a week to pay. I think you get 2 weeks. So it took me like a week to get my check in the mail. I needed to do some. I'd bought from them before, but they had some weird issue with my address. I had to sort something with them, and I was just slow to do it. And then I got the check in the mail, and then they hold the check for 5 days to make sure it's good, because banks are still living in like 1950. It's like you should be able to take a check, give it to a bank, and then they like call somebody, do something, and they know it's real money. And
yeah,
then
exactly.
It just, but like that's why I'm slightly bullish, like completely off topic, but like cryptocurrencies in some extent, like I can send money to someone anywhere in the world and they receive it and they know it's like good.
Yeah.
Not money, but like cryptocurrency. I can't do that with dollars. I bought a box off a guy in Australia from the forum, and it was I had to create an account with TransferWise, and I had to wire it to them, who wired it to him, and it was like 2 weeks, like all this time to send money crazy rant over the outdated ancient banking system we have in this world. But
well, that infuriates me how hard it is to send money through like Venmo, friends and family, stuff like that. It's they make it so hard.
yeah,
But
I don't even remember where I came from.
I forget. I was just trying to think of.
But yeah, my heritage
to that point.
My heritage. Hopefully, I'll get a tracking number
heritage,
soon and have it within the next couple of weeks to do a video like this year on it. But I have no idea. I'm because I own base set first edition and PSA 9, but I'm converting some of my PSA 9s over to like CGC 9s, CGC 8.5s, and getting paid to do it. So yeah, once I get those in, I'll evaluate what I've got, maybe do some crosses to PSA, go from there. But
there you go. That'll be good.
CGC Pop Reports are going to be fun and interesting. The first day they come out, I'm going to be doing a deep dive into what's going on there.
Yeah, I can't wait till they do come out. I don't know why they're waiting so long though either. Because they have all the information, you would assume.
Yeah. I don't know.
I would imagine they have a decent bit of cards in their pop report by now.
I'm glad they didn't come out with them day one because it just would have been stupid. Every listing would have been pop one, investment, rocket, moon. Like even now, like they've only been out a year compared to PSA. PSA existed before Pokemon, so they weren't always being graded right from the start. But it's just going to be silly, some of the cards that are like super low pop, but it's because most of them are in PSA cases already.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, I don't know.
It'll be interesting to see like how many WOTC cards are graded with CGC versus how many modern cards are graded with CGC. I bet there's a lot more modern at CGC than WOTC.
I think there's a lot of like macro things you can look at. Like I was discussing the grade distribution on Sword Shield 50, SM210, a lot of these like massively graded modern promos to kind of compare the grading scale at each. And you can do a macro comparison of how many WOTC, how many mid-era, how many modern. But like when people get into the micro, oh, I've got this random Heart Gold, Soul Silver, Holo, CGC 9.5, Pop 1, none higher. It's because there's 3 graded total and the other 2 are 7s. Like, come on.
I can't stand that.
That still exists for. I've actually got. I've got some like mid-era PSA stuff, set holo cards, English set holo cards with less than 5 or 10 graded, which blows my mind.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy.
So the fact that like, I think one was like Rampardos from Platinum, there's like 6 graded total. CGC probably has none graded. So if you've got one in your binder, send it to CGC. It'll be pop 1, whatever it comes back. It'll be worth $1,000 because it's pop 1.
There we go. Send all your modern energies because nobody reads those. Well, that was a good question, I think.
Yeah, it led to a lot of tangents and miscellaneous rants, which are always the best.
Oh yeah.
So my last one comes from John. It was actually asked in the middle, and I dragged it to the end because I just wanted to build up to it. So Dan, you've mentioned you have a rather pessimistic outlook on Pokemon over the next 24 to 48 months. Can you and Nick elaborate on your outlook regarding the overall market and or some various sectors of the market? So I was talking with Nick before we started recording. I don't think my pessimism was picked up from the podcast. I think I might have been talking about something in Discord somewhere, or maybe in a Patreon video, but I guess just plugging quickly, since I said the word Patreon, Nick has his own Patreon with Pallet Town Pokemon and Crystal Pokemon. I have a Patreon with Pokenomics, so go check those out if you want to get some more content from both of us in other other places. But just recently I did a Patreon like presentation just a few days ago now, Sunday night. PSA is grading a lot of cards right now. I mentioned back on one of the earlier questions, the PSA 8 one from Island Hustle. The backlog stands at 7.5 million cards as we're recording this podcast. They're grading roughly 7.5 to 10 million cards per year pace, like monthly, given how the Pop Report is growing. Nat claims that he intends to scale their grading to 20 million cards in an effort to return it to $10 services. As I mentioned, I don't fully believe it. I don't think it would be optimal for PSA, because PSA in a way, like, why do for $10 a card what the market is clearly willing to pay $20 a card for? When you double the price, you way more than double the profitability. Like, if I buy this booster box for $80 and sell it for 100, taking out all fees and everything, I'm making $20, right? If I double the price to 200, my cost remains fixed at 80. So my profit actually 6x's from 20 to 120. So like if PSA is grading cards for $10 a piece and say it costs them $5 a card to grade it, if they double their price to 20 instead, they're not just doubling their profit, they're tripling it from 5 to 15. So, and then I think it's like a double-edged thing. It's like a double-sided thing. If PSA is grading 20 million a year at $10 a piece, a lot of prices are going to get slaughtered on a lot of things, like modern promos, modern set cards in general, that there's just tons of. And even like WOTC non-holo stuff. They've already been slaughtered on like Eevee and Pikachu. But imagine how bad it's gonna get. It's gonna go back to $40 like it was 5 years ago. If you can take a Pikachu, grade it for $750, get it back in 3 months, the price is gonna go right back down where a 9 is $12 and a 10 is 40, because there are millions of them out there. Base Unlimited Charmander too. So like I think PSA has an incentive to keep the price a little bit higher and do a little bit less volume and make more money. They're a business. At the end of the day, they want to make money. I know Nat is a collector and all that, and he said he says a lot of things that make collectors feel warm and fuzzy, but he's a businessman too. He spent a lot of money with his investment group or whatever to buy that. And they didn't buy it to make collectors feel warm and fuzzy. They bought it to be a profitable business. So I'll eat my words if I'm proven wrong and they scale to 20 million cards by the end of next year and they're grading cards for $750 again. I'll be shocked and I'll say I was wrong. I just don't think it's in their best interest. I think it's better for them if they take longer to get there. Maybe ultimately they do get there, but like 2 or 3 years from now, scaling slower. Part of it is like, I don't think it would be in their best interest. And the other part of it is like, I don't think they physically can expand their operations that much, hire that many people and all that. It just, so getting back into like the pessimistic outlook, regardless of if they make it to 20 million cards per year, they're already at almost 10. And I think they're going to at least hold that for the foreseeable future.
Do you remember? Do you remember what they were at pre-craziness?
Yeah, they were grading. Let me. What did I call it? PSA. Oh yeah,
because it'd be interesting to know like how much have they scaled so far.
I can give a little teaser on some gated content that I gave the other day. I can't say that I'll screen share it, but so here are some of the tidbits that I dropped. So the maximum backlog back in April peaked at about 12 million cards. There were official sources that stated 10, more than 11, and then 13 to 14. So roughly 12 is reasonable. So the maximum backlog of 12 million cards in April That's how many cards they graded total in 2015 to 2020. In a 6-year span, they graded, like their backlog was 6 years worth of grading from 2015 to 2020. There's another couple good stats that I wanted to give. Where'd it go?
That's a crazy one right there.
Yeah, that's like an eye catcher. So
for sure.
In 2020, they graded 2.8 million cards. In 2021, continuing with the pace they've done, they're going to land somewhere between like 7.5 and 8 million. So they tripled their output of last year. And here's one that's Pokemon specific. So through 2019, from the inception of Pokemon, when Gary sent out all those CD promos for Home Shopping Network, 2019, they graded their 1 millionth Pokemon card. The end of 2020, they graded an additional 300,000 Pokemon cards. So they expanded the entire pop report that took 20 years to like build to. They expanded that by 30% in 1 year by the end of 2020. By the end of 2021, double it. So roughly 2.6 million cards we're going to end the year with, Pokemon cards graded. And of all these like increased submissions, the percent of the backlog that is Pokemon is disproportionately higher than it's historically been. So like as that backlog unwinds, I know the demand is so much higher and all that, but like there's a lot of cards at PSA. A lot of them are Pokemon. Not only as the backlog unwinds, but again, if they get to where they're grading 20 million cards a year, that is massive. That is there's one more number I want to share quickly. So through the end of 2021, they will have graded roughly 39 million cards. In their 30-year history, PSA opened in 1991. So they graded under 40 million cards in 30 years. And now Nat's talking about grading 20 million cards a year moving ahead. So like every slab that exists in the world, Pokemon, Magic, sports, everything, you're going to like double the amount of slabs in the world every 2 years and then double it again in 4 and double it. It's just, I think that's a massive like negative pressure against the pricing in the short to medium term. And I think the more slabs PSA puts out quicker and cheaper, the more it's going to hurt prices. I think, I mean, supply goes up, price goes down, and unless demand outpaces. But I just don't see a future where there's 50,000 slabs of this card and somehow the price can grow back up. I don't know. Maybe I'm too pessimistic on it, but I know that my business strategy right now, like I have thousands of slabs and I'm behind on listing them, but knowing how much they're going to unwind from the backlog and knowing how I'm going to be able to get them cheaper again in the future, I'm trying to sell most of the slabs I have, 95% of them. Anything that I can, I mean, a slab like this, I can get this card again in this condition. Even, I mean, it's a cool card. It's Japanese. It's old, but there's a lot more of these cards out there. I want to just sell this card today because I don't have too much optimism that the price is going to be higher 5 years from now on a lot of cards.
Yeah, I would agree with you on that. The one
really long thing there, didn't I? I almost asked you if you could do your last question and then we could save mine for the end. So like we lost a few more viewers so that like I didn't get to.
The one thing, so first with the 2.2 or 2.5 graded last year compared to this year, when he was saying he wants to double the capacity from whatever 10 million to 20 million, and At first, I thought not a chance that would happen, but with how much they've increased the capacity from April to now, that could be possible. Within by the end of next year, that might still be a stretch, but 2 years definitely. I could definitely see that happen with how quickly they've increased capacity so far.
I think the main thing you run into is like, so they did 2.8 million in 2020, and they've done a great job. Like they're on pace to almost triple what they did this year.
Yeah.
But like when you start at X, so if you make 2020 2.8 million X and you triple it, that's not easy. But then when you go to triple it again, you're going from X to 3X to 9X. Going from X to 3X is easier than going from 3X to 9X.
Yeah.
Even though they're both tripling, the higher you move up that exponential path, the harder it is.
Yeah.
Because you start literally exhausting like the skilled labor that you need. It's I don't think they'll get to 20 million anytime soon. And I just kind of doubt that they even want to fully.
See, that's where I disagree with you. So from a business perspective, in the short term, it's better for them to have higher prices. Because so say once they reopen the bulk tier, say they reopen at $20 a card, nobody's going to care that it's $20 a card. Everyone's going to open the floodgates and send everything to PSA. But once that initial wave dies down, people are going to be more selective about what they're sending at $20 a card. Because like what you said, they're grading all these cards, prices are going to come down, which I agree with. But so people are going to be more selective about what cards they're grading. So they're grading cards at a higher price point, but they're going to be getting less cards. Whereas that if they lower the price point, they're going to be getting a lot more cards. So I think they could be making more money even with a lower price point.
But again, like I said, they're like, we don't know what it costs them to grade a card.
Yeah.
If they have their price, like just take my numbers as true. Say it's right. Say it costs them $5 a card to grade it. If they grade 10 million cards a year at $20 a piece, they're making 10 million times $15 a piece. They're making $150 million, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, if they're grading 20 at 10, they're only making a $5 margin on that now. They're making 100 million a year. So do you think they're really going to make 100 million a year doing more work than making 150 million a year doing less? Maybe like I've heard people make an argument like market dominance. They want to like squeeze everyone else out they can. I think they're going to squeeze out almost every one of the new 3-letter acronyms in the past 24 months. Aside, they're not getting rid of BGS. They're not getting rid of CGC. All the other ones could likely go. If PSA goes back to 750 specials,
I don't think we'll ever see that again.
No one's grading with HGA, AGS, any of those. Like, probably bad to like call out names, but like, so some of the ones that I've contemplated grading with, and I didn't even end up doing it. I forget what that one in Europe is, but I understand that like squeezing the competition out, but to another side is like, I think they'll just stay. We're the premium product. We charge more because we're better. CGC is charging 15 right now.
Yeah. I think 15 to 20 I think is going to be, like you said, it's going to be the new normal, I guess.
I don't think there's a demand for 20 million cards a year at $20 a piece.
Yeah, so that's the incentive for them to lower the pricing. So they can
I think you just find a happy medium. Like, volume isn't, I mean, there are companies, Walmart, Amazon, there are companies built on just absolute volume, smaller margins, and then they lower their costs to where their margins go back up. But I think the nature of grading, you don't just want to like scale as much as possible, get sloppier. I think you want to just like be a more premium product, like a premium brand. I mean, you're wearing a sweatshirt of the North Face. I'm one who I don't think that's like a substantially better product than a lot of things that are half the cost, but they're like branded as a premium thing, right? And they get the North Face, they could have their pricing and they could sell way more sweatshirts, but I don't think it's good for the brand. I think
Yeah.
I think their overall profit would go down because demand would go up, but not enough to like overcome the lowering profit margin. Maybe I'm thinking way too deep, way too much into it. And again, maybe I'm completely wrong on all this, but that's my theory.
It'll be interesting to see what happens. I can see that argument, but then at the same time, I think you have to like start out, like you have to build your business around that. So you can't start out your company selling or grading cards for really cheap, and then start charging more to grade cards. I think you'd have to start out by charging $20, whatever a card. I don't think you can just like increase your prices over the years to kind of build that quality premium brand.
I think you can. I think PSA is right now, right? They're getting a lot of cards submitted at 150 a card right now.
Yeah. Yeah, but they're not getting, I don't know. I think the volume would be better. You're going to make more money off of the volume than you would keeping it, say, $100 a card, or even 50, 20. I think the volume's the way to go with grading, because they don't care what these cards. I don't think they really care that much what these cards sell for.
The only thing being, if you like if Pokemon comes out and prints 10 billion cards next year and they print way too much, when prices are lower, people don't want to buy it as much. If PSA grades so much that they like overwhelm the market with slabs with plastic and the market can't absorb them, demand for prices go down and demand for grading goes down regardless of the price. I mean, if this card goes down to $20 on a PSA 10, I'm not grading it regardless. Like even if grading $7.50 or $10 and this is a $20 PSA 10, I'm not grading it.
Really?
There's no, if it's $20 PSA 10,
I would grade it.
There's no margin there. If it's a $6 PSA 9 and it costs $8 or $10 to grade it.
See, I don't think we'll ever reach that point where
we've been there before.
No, we've been to where PSA 9s you break even. PSA 10s you make money. Slowly
though, very slowly. I was grading and selling PSA 10 Jungle Pikachus 5, 6, 7 years ago for $30-$40 a piece. That's what they were selling for.
Yeah.
That's not much.
That's a
that was the buy it now. Is if you auctioned it, you might get 20.
Yeah.
You weren't. That's what I'm saying. Like, and that was when there was only a couple dozen of them, less than 100 of them. If you got a card like this, that there's 50,000 of them, and there's like right now, if you go on eBay, there's thousands of listings for that in PSA 10. And yeah, I don't know, just the pop reports on stuff like that is, I'm not concerned so much for like trophies and actual rarity, scarcity, all that, the Art Academy cards, things of that nature, higher graded 9-10 WOTC first edition holos and things of that nature. But the bulk of graded Pokemon cards, I think are going to go down substantially in the next 12 to 48 months.
I can't see it reaching a point though where we're worse off than we were, where you're losing money on 9s, in some cases 10s. I can't see that ever happening, no matter how many of these cards are out there. Because who's going to, unless it's like a garbage card that you send in, some worthless card anyway. Who's gonna sell that PSA 10 Charizard, say, for example? Who's gonna sell that for $10-$20, whatever? Say grading's $20. Who's going to sell that for less than $20? I don't think you'll have anyone selling it for less than $20.
People who get hit with a grading bill that they can't afford to pay without selling the cards wholesale, liquidate them. It's already happened.
You're gonna have those circumstances where that happens, but I don't think it's going to be the norm of, okay, the new price of this card is now $10.
10 is excessive, but yeah, like I'm looking at Jungle Pikachu. Back in 2017, PSA 10s were selling for $20. PSA 9s were selling for $8 to $15. I guess 10s were a good buy there at those prices.
So you'd be breaking even on 9s, making a little bit on 10s. I think that's like the worst case scenario of what happens going forward.
And I think with certain cards, like along these lines, I think we're gonna get there. Like I said, over the next 25 years, there's gonna be a lull again at some point. And with so much plastic on the market, with how many more Charizard promo? This is a cool card. I like it a lot. But how many more cool ones where there'll be where there's 10,000, 20,000, 50,000 pops? Can the market just keep absorbing every Charizard that comes out for $50 a piece? I think
it's a combination of the market absorbing it and sellers not selling it for that cheap.
Yeah, we'll see.
There's going to be some type of happy. You can't just if the market doesn't absorb it, people just aren't going to grade it.
But I think we're gonna like vastly overshoot on certain cards with what's there in the backlog, and what if they open up, especially if they open up too quickly, a bulk service. I think people are gonna send out a lot more of a card like that before the backlog unwinds and they realize how low the PSA 10 price is gonna go. It'll be interesting though. I mean, again, I'm here for the ride. I'm not too pessimistic on Pokemon because I quit my job to do it. So that clearly shows you I'm optimistic on certain things overall. There's just there's a lot of plastic coming back. There's a lot of plastic out there, and short to medium term, 1 to 5 years, I think the bulk of it's going to go down.
It'll be interesting. I do think it will go down. It's just where will it go down to?
And an inevitability in life is like cyclical nature of the stock market. And we've been on like a long historical bull run. We had the weird quick crash thing that went on last year with COVID. But aside from that, we've been on like a massive bull run, and it's a cliche, overused, overdone thing to say, but we're due for a correction. We're due for some kind of a recession, depression type thing. And if, depending on how things like time themselves, if Pokemon prices were to have taken a beating, as they've already done, and then we went into a real global economic recession downturn, and unemployment really goes up and things get tough, I think stuff like this could take a massive hit, because like this isn't necessities. This is all luxury spending. This is the type. Collectibles are weird in a way. Some people make the arguments when things get bad, they turn to nostalgia. They turn to like the things that make them happy. With COVID, that happened, but people were getting like the money printer was just injecting
people were
money.
also making a ton of money during COVID.
Like during a real economic global recession downturn, money's not just going to be flying out of everywhere. It'll be the actual opposite of that. And I think prices could really take a beating on a lot of this stuff, like compounding that with just how much supply is going to hit the market.
Oh, well, yeah, something like that, definitely, for sure. Could definitely see that happening. But we'll see. We'll see what happens there. It'll be interesting.
We'll be here every other week discussing it on the podcast.
Yes. episode like 100.
Stay tuned.
Oh man. Well, I would say we thoroughly answered that question.
Yeah.
Spent a solid 20 minutes talking about it.
Hopefully John's satisfied with that one.
So my last question is from Dark Lava Lizard. He asks, I've always used Excel to track expenses and sales, but earlier this year, I formed an LLC and opened separate bank accounts and credit cards for running the business. Obviously, as you and others have stated, this way it's much easier and cleaner to keep Pokemon money separate from other forms of income. At the end of the year, when you're giving your paperwork and records to an accountant, are you just giving them a copy of your Excel sheets? I've been looking at automated systems such as QuickBooks Online with eBay integration that can pull from eBay and PayPal records, so there's less manual inputting into spreadsheets, as that is very tedious and prone to manual error, especially when you have a high volume of sales and also purchases. Curious to know, since you two are full-time now, what systems you're using for finance tracking, and if you've upgraded in advance past Excel for keeping track of your expenses. Also, how are you handling the sales tax part of direct PayPal sales where they are not auto-collecting for you like eBay does? Before you say it, don't worry, I've already started the process of consulting a tax professional.
Consult a tax professional. We are not licensed tax professionals or financial advisors, but Nick, go ahead.
So I was so I've tried, there's a program called GoDaddy Bookkeeping. I've tried that one before. It's really nice because it integrates your bank account, eBay, PayPal. It integrates everything together, and there's some cool stuff that you can do with it. But for me personally, I'm a person who's stuck in my ways. I really don't like having to learn a new program. So I wasn't a big fan of that. Having everything be automated like that, and there was like different categories that you could put certain expenses in, and sometimes like what was recorded on my bank statement as like the description wouldn't match up with stuff would get into like the wrong categories, and it would get all screwed up like that. So I was never a big fan of that, and plus you had to pay for it. It was like a monthly subscription that you paid. It's like $10 a month, so it wasn't that bad, but you still had to pay for it. So I quickly ended that and just went back to using my Excel sheets. That's what I've always done. That's probably what I'm going to continue to do going forward. But basically for me, what it is I have, if you watch my monthly sales videos where I go over the spreadsheet that I do every month, at the end of the year, I have those 12 individual spreadsheets, and then I have a 13th spreadsheet that's basically linked to those 12 spreadsheets. And all that 13th spreadsheet does is it grabs all the numbers from my monthly spreadsheets and inputs them into that same exact spreadsheet as like a year in review. So that's what I do. And when I go to my the person who does my taxes, I basically just read those numbers off to him, and he types them into whatever program he uses to print out my tax. I don't understand the process at all, but I basically just give him that form, and that covers a good majority of what I need to give him. There's some other stuff as well, but yeah, I've always just liked Excel, so I've always just stuck with it. It's really not that complicated, I don't think. Even if you are doing a high volume of sales, you really don't need to record every single sale that you do. You really just need kind of that general overview. So at the end of every month, take your total sales, subtract your total expenses, in terms of like eBay fees, shipping, stuff like that. Subtract any collections that you've bought over the course of the month, and that's your profit. That's what I've always done. That's what I'm going to continue to do going forward. But as far as, what was the other question? Well, I guess I'll let you answer. You take over if you want to add anything to that one.
The other question is the dangerous one. Um, if I knew how to do edits, I would have like a flashing banner throughout this whole section. It would like scroll, it would bounce around, consult a tax professional. So yeah, same as Nick. I've been doing this with Pokemon for 7 years. I've been doing it with other various things on eBay over a decade. You're doing well to have a separate bank account, credit card, all that. Hopefully you're registered with your local. Every place is different. I just Googled it quickly. There are over 11,000 sales tax jurisdictions in the United States.
That is absurd.
So depending on which one of the over 11,000 sales tax jurisdictions you're in, hopefully you've gone to your one specific to you, consulted with a professional in that jurisdiction, and gotten all the proper paperwork. But yeah, I used to do years ago, I was a sole proprietorship and I did an accrual basis where I was tracking an inventory really early on. I had a spreadsheet for every buy, every sale, bought it for this, sold it for this, fees, all the.
Really?
Yep. That was when it was like tens of items a month.
Yeah.
Like single digits to 10, 20 items a month tops is where I like, this is too much when I got to that. I mean, it started out as 1 or 2 items a month to 10 items a month. But up through a few years ago, even I was an accrual basis where I kept an inventory, cost of goods sold, all of that. It was always done on like an estimated basis though, because the problem is you buy a box to your distributor for $80. If you sell it as a whole, it's easy to figure out like what you made on that, what your cost basis was, and all that cost of goods sold. If you crack this open and some get sold as bulk and some you still have an inventory and some are at PSA, and how do you account for what part of the $80 goes into the inventory of all those? You can't with a spreadsheet. It's a nightmare. You can't do it. So recently I converted to a S corporation. And I'm doing all my accounting on a cash basis. So basically, like Nick, it sounds like Nick does cash basis too. Money in minus money out is profit. Talk to your tax professional to figure out what kinds of fees and things might be deductible and what can be a write-off. Anything you use in transacting. I mean, certain things that might surprise you. I don't want to go on a whole list of certain things that could be write-offs, but a good accountant will be worth every cent you pay them because they really know what they're doing and they can find you a lot of deductions to legally avoid and reduce your tax liability. Avoid legally, evade is the bad one. Evade. So tax avoidance is what like good business people do. Jeff Bezos avoids taxes with good accountants doing things, transacting things the right way to make it so he pays less in taxes than us, probably. Tax evasion is the bad one where you do things wrong and go to jail. So don't do that one.
just toss out your 1099 as junk mail.
Yeah. Oh.
What even?
The second part is the
sales tax.
As I mentioned, there's 11,000. So I'm gonna go into a rant. Nick and I actually talked about this pre-recording. Some people think eBay is like so expensive. Oh my God, they charge over 10% fees. Let's do a deal through PayPal to avoid you having to pay that 10% fee. And hey, can you knock 10% off the price because that's what you're saving? Let me get all that savings. That's a different rant. But the complexity of doing a deal through PayPal on the up and up the right way is extremely high. So that's why what eBay provides for what they charge is massive. So years ago, I was selling on eBay and they didn't collect sales taxes. It was a nightmare because I'm a registered business in New York. I had to collect sales taxes on all purchases in New York. In New York alone, let's see how many, if this will tell me quickly. There's 987 tax jurisdictions in New York State, this says. Because it's not like in New York, that seems high. That can't be right. Maybe it is. I don't
know.
That seems way too high, but
New York has 10% of the tax jurisdictions.
I would have guessed it would have had at least 100, but 987 is massive. Anyways, it's a lot because it's not just by county. A lot of individual towns have their own, and a lot of some villages, some cities have their own on top of the county, town, whatever. So when I was selling through eBay, I had to like manually look up their address on the sales tax website for New York to figure out how much of that $100 sale I had to remit to New York State for sales tax. And there was no like function or tool that eBay had to properly charge them the sales tax for their jurisdiction. Now, a year or two ago, when did eBay start doing that?
It was recently. I want to say it's probably been about 2 years, year and a half, 2 years, somewhere around there.
A lot of people hated it because a lot of like the businesses and investor flipper whatever that aren't doing it legitimately with a license, they're paying sales tax on their purchases now. Guys like Nick and I, we do our sales tax exemption through eBay. We don't pay sales taxes, so like our prices are what they should be. Like we were never paying sales taxes before, but either was anyone else. Well, now the legitimate businesses, we get to buy stuff cheaper than people who are paying sales tax. But eBay has accounts and they communicate with these 11,000 tax jurisdictions. Theoretically, if you sell through PayPal, you need to register with the sales tax with the state. So it wouldn't be 11,000 registrations. It would be 50 registrations with each state. And then say I sell a card down to Florida. Does Florida not have sales tax? I think Florida does. Florida
does.
Oregon, New Hampshire, Alaska, maybe. So Florida does. If I sell a card on PayPal down to Florida, I need to be registered with Florida, the state of Florida tax department, sales tax department, and I need to collect and remit Florida sales tax. Not just Florida sales tax. If they're in Miami, it's one. If they're in Tallahassee, it's another. If they're in Orlando, it's another. It's crazy. And eBay does that all for you for the low cost of 10%, 10, 12, whatever it is. So I'm not going to get into exactly what I do when I sell something through PayPal. Theoretically, though, what you're supposed to be doing is the same thing goes. That's something that like I haven't run into yet. I've never sold at a show, but there's a lot of states and there's certain shows that make you verify it. Like if you go to Collecticon down in Dallas, technically you need to get a temporary vendor's permit to collect and remit sales tax in that state, in that jurisdiction for the time that you're there. There are actually shows out there. Like I used to do some coin stuff. I used to do some beer stein collectible type stuff. There are certain shows nationally where you can't get in as a vendor without showing your certificate that you're registered as a vendor with that state and you're going to be collecting sales tax. I think a lot of things don't do that because they'd end up having no vendors. But yeah, like if you want to get down into legally what you need to do, and the only thing I'm going to talk about is legally what you're supposed to do, it's a lot. It's complicated. It's convoluted, and almost no one does it.
That's what I was going to say. There's a difference between theoretical and actuality.
Yeah, but I mean, theoretically, that's talk to your tax professional. That's what they're going to say. at an absolute minimum, you need to be with your state and you need to be doing it because, again, tax evasion is a big boy crime that they don't like. So there's that rant. Anything else to add or anything you want to get into on the specifics of what you do? I don't know if the IRS is watching or if the state of Florida sales tax. Hopefully we don't have any state of Florida sales tax.
Yeah, I think we pretty much covered that one there. Yeah, like I said, I think Excel's the best. And with the sales tax on PayPal, that one, there's a lot of different ways to go about that one. we'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
But that wraps up the questions for the for this podcast. I think Dark Lava Lizard. I think you might have been the same person who asked SM Pratt. So hopefully we gave you a little bit better of an answer, because I know he completely avoided that question. if you are the same person.
There are actually, I just Googled it again quick, because I think when you go to a show, what they call it is if you create a nexus, if you do business in that state. So if you don't do business in a state, if you're selling from New York to Florida, maybe you technically don't have to collect on certain things. But like when you go to a show, you're creating a nexus there, you're doing business there. It's more likely that you have to. Whereas if you're selling just online and you don't have a physical presence in the state you're selling to, I think it's more of a gray area. I don't know, but my ideal world, my ideal transaction, I wake up in the morning, all my sales are done on eBay, and I just print my labels and ship them, and I don't talk to anybody about sales tax or anything. I don't see it. It just goes on its merry way where it needs to go. And if you're a business buying from me on eBay, I don't need to see your W-9. I don't need to get any paperwork from you. eBay has it. They do all that. It's so nice. And it's a common, like, I understand you want to get deals the best way you can. You want to pay the best price. But like when you reach out to somebody and you want to take all the fee savings for yourself, there's just a lot of complicated factors on top of the fact that it's just more difficult to go to PayPal, print the label through there when I'm not naturally doing it. So yeah, eBay is awesome.
And then what's the PayPal fee up to now?
3.5.
3.5? Okay,
from 2.9, yeah.
Yeah.
And that's uncapped, right? That's just on whatever amount. So on eBay, if you're selling a $10,000 thing, the whole fee doesn't cap, but like the final value fee caps at $350. And then I think there's like a
2.35.
It's significantly lower than the 3.5. It's like 30% lower.
Oh yeah, for sure. But yeah, no, definitely eBay sales are the easiest. eBay does not get enough credit for the amount of service they provide.
Yeah, the reach.
Even just like keeping track of inventory, like for me especially, having to, if someone wants to purchase something through PayPal, having to go back through and actually remove those items from eBay and all that stuff takes time.
Yeah, it's not. I do it more than I probably need to or should, but it's, the ideal sales for me just happen through eBay. All the numbers go where they need to go. I get the money I get, and it's over and done. But yeah, consult a tax professional.
Was there anything else you wanted to talk about here?
Yeah, we didn't. I don't think we even put in any additional topics. we touched very briefly. I mean, it's not Pokemon, but it will be Pokemon a little bit, right? Once they come out with like the Game Boy games, WATA Pop Report.
Oh yeah, I was surprised to I don't know anything about video games. I just saw the thread on E4 where someone posted that game, I can't even, Super Mario Brothers, the one that sold for like 2 million.
Yeah.
There was like one of that version in the Pop Report, but there was also like 3 other versions that had a bunch of the same grades.
Mm-hmm.
So that kind of surprised me. I don't know anything about video games, but to see that there was like a different version, I don't know if you know anything about that, but like a different version with the same grade.
There's a lot of different versions in video games.
And what are the different versions? Is there anything like, because I know like with the Pokemon games, you had the like the Y seal, the H seal.
When there's like,
is that really the only difference, or is it like a major difference between this one that sold for 2 million and these other 8 that are out there?
The things about video games, and I don't know why they changed the box so much, but like Super Mario for NES, I believe sold 40 million copies. And that was over a several year period, I think. I think there's some variants, like when you're talking different regions, I don't know, like Europe and the Americas and things like that. There's different variants, but then there's also like the hang tag one. So maybe certain retailers want the hang tag one, and then certain retailers just put it on a shelf instead, so they don't get the hang tag. But I know with Pokemon, there's like when Sandshrews on the back, it's the earlier print or the later print, and then there's one with a different Pokemon in the little Pokemon Blue thing. ESRB logo, white logo, gray logo. Like, I don't know why every time they print them, they feel like they need to change something. Because like evolutions, there's hollow bleeds and there's different little variants, but like there's not 20 different variants of evolution's Charizard. Like they didn't just like change letters and like change different things every time they printed it. But with boxes, apparently they do. I don't know why.
Yeah, boxes and packs lately. There's a lot of pack variants.
Yeah, it's so were the pops like higher than you would have expected or lower?
Well, I just saw that one example. I haven't looked into it much, and like I said, I don't know anything about video games. But to see this Super Mario game sell for 2 million, yet there's another. There was like 8 in the Pop Report, but it was a Pop 1 in this one version. But to see another 7 of the same grade, just a different version.
Like, I don't know whether that's a lot or not a lot. I know they printed 40 million copies of that game. So in a way, it feels like very few. But it was just funny, like watching Reserved Investments video. He was like vindicated. Oh, haha, I told you the pops were going to be so high. These pops are massive. And I'm thinking like, that's a pretty low number. But then there's other people like, oh yeah, 2 million makes total sense. There's only 8 in the world. I mean, there's 8 billion people. That doesn't mean any.
How many buyers are looking to buy this $2 million game?
Yeah, the fact that there's
you even have
8 billion people in the world doesn't mean anything. Like, obviously, I would buy that game if it was $3. There's probably, if you went up to 100 million random people on the street and said, hey, do you want to buy this for $3? Not every one of them even would for $3. No. More than 8, certainly. But if you start going to everybody around the world, hey, do you want to buy this for $2 million? Are there going to be 8 people? Apparently not, right? Because one sold for 2 million and then one sold for like half that or something. So it's like, it's silly when people come out and say like, that's so many, the price should be way lower, or that's so few, the price should be way higher. Both are as ridiculous to say as the other, I think. The numbers are just so, that's such a massive number. I'm never going to own, unless I get lucky and buy like a garage sale box and it just has one that I grade a 9.8, A++. I'm never going to own it in a scenario other than that. Which case I'd just sell it, whether it was 100,000 or 10 million.
Yeah. Oh yeah. For sure.
But yeah, that it'll be interesting when it comes out for Game Boy and everything, N64, and we can see NES. I did have one when I was really young. I do have one that I bought to like replay some of the games that I'd played back then. But my main nostalgia lies in the Game Boys and the N64 for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
I have been picking up some random games, not any titles that anyone's probably heard of. Hard to find though. Like the chase with Pokemon, there's not much chase for me anymore. I've got everything I want. The only things I still want are just, it's not that they're a massive chase, they're just a massive price. So like it's been kind of fun. James Z&G Emporium has mentioned this a few times recently. Like he'll be looking for a game over a period of several months and none will come up. Like, there's a chase. So certain games from my childhood, I've thrown a save search. I check it once a week, or I have it email me. Very few, if any. I picked up a couple oddball things, some PlayStation 2 games, a couple PC games, really, really cheap. Nothing I'm doing for investment purposes or anything, but just a lot of games I put a lot of hours into, a lot of nostalgia there. It would be cool to pick up. I don't know if I'll ever do Pokemon because they're just, I'd love to pick up a sealed yellow and a sealed Kiwi Game Boy Color, but they're expensive. Thousands and thousands. And
I sold a sealed red and blue way back in the day. They both, from what I remember, they were both like really minty condition. But I sold the red with a base set Charizard, and I sold the blue with a base set Blastoise. And I want to say those games went for like $200 or $300 a piece at auction.
Could have been $100,000 game, right? Didn't a red sell for like 100 plus?
Yeah, I want to say it was close to there at some point.
Crazy.
Yeah, it really is. But so like with the whole hunting thing, or thrill of the hunt and all that stuff, do you enjoy not being able to find whatever you're looking for? Because I could not stand that process. Everyone says, "Oh, I love not being able to find this thing." That drives me absolutely insane.
It's an interesting thing because it, like when you can just buy everything you want to some extent, like celebrations. If you could have just bought a complete set of the complete set of 50 celebrations cards for $50 at Walmart, would that be as fun as having to chase and open the packs yourself, right? I mean, so there's like
that's different though. That's like opening and enjoying. I'm talking about like wanting to buy something and not being able to find it for months. That's like infuriating to me.
It's not so much the process is what it is, but like the reward is like, imagine searching for a game for 7-8 months. Imagine that feeling when you score it, when you hit. It's like the win is that much sweeter because you had to work to get there. So that's where that comes in. It's not so much like I search eBay so much to buy products for my collection or for resale or whatever, but to have a few items, it's been kind of fun to have a few items that I'm seeking out to try to just buy for my collection.
Definitely.
A box I can have sitting on my shelf to remind me the game I used to play. At some point, hopefully I'll get a handful more and they'll probably make it into my backdrop, but not yet. That's the thing. Like, not at all for investment purposes, not anything like that. But if I'm one guy searching out a game and in a 5-month period, I haven't seen one copy, I don't want to mention it to maybe 10 people that watch this out of the several hundred that watch it. Maybe they played it too and they're like, man, that's only going for $30. I'd buy one if I saw it come up. Well, now I just made my job that much harder getting one for $30.
Now you have to pay millions.
Yeah. I just need to like hang out with the guys at WATA and Heritage and get in their little thing they got going on there.
Get in their inner circle.
Yeah. Other than that, any other hot topics, or we're probably going on a reasonable length for the podcast.
Yeah,
Anyways,
we're about 2 hours.
probably time to call it.
I think we could wrap up here.
Did I mention what my code word was going to be, or no? When we talked about yours earlier being turkey?
You did, but I forgot. Oh, you said Charizard.
Okay. I knew it was Charizard. I remembered what it was, but I couldn't remember if I mentioned it. So
actually, I don't know. I think you might have. I don't remember if it was before the podcast or.
I definitely said it before we were recording to you. I don't know. I intended to say it at the start. I
think you might have.
Hopefully. Well, reminder.
For the one person who's watching still.
For the real ones still watching. These are going to go on Instagram tomorrow. Code word's going to be Charizard. Go back to my video, comment it. You'll be like the early bird, one of the first ones commenting. It's not going to increase your odds. Your odds are going to be 1 over how many people comment Charizard, but you'll get in there first. So a little bit of sneak peek for those who listen for 2 hours.
Actually, by the time we upload this video, and by the time they get to this point, there's already going to be so many comments.
That's a good point. Nick's, yeah, it's after 1 a.m. My brain's slowing down, falling asleep. We're recording this right now. It's the day that we're going to post it, but we're probably going to post it like 1 o'clock. So if you watch it right out of the gate, you're going to see it at 3. My Instagram post will already be 3 hours old. So much for the sneak peek. I guess if you don't follow me on Instagram, you can like skirt the need to follow me on Instagram
by watching a 2-hour podcast.
Yeah. I think following me on Instagram will be easier. So you can do that. You can do both, all of it.
There we go.
Oh.
I think people who are watching at this point are following us on Instagram, eBay, YouTube.
Yeah. Yeah. I would
maybe
say so.
Your Facebook even.
Yeah, I think I'm up to like 10. Check me out on Facebook. It's on the new business card too, and I haven't gotten too many, but every few days I'll get a new follower over there.
There we go.
Or it's a like over there, right?
Oh God, at least get it right. Well, as always, it has been fun chatting with you.
Too much fun.
We will chat together again in a couple days. Actually, we're seeing a lot of each other
for the next giveaway video, right?
Next giveaway, yeah. Yep.
Check us out on Mondays, both channels. A video will drop, and then every other day you've got to comment the code words. I've been getting a lot of turkeys on my YouTube video. The turkeys go on his, the Charizards go on mine. We'll see what else he has next.
We'll think of a good one for next one.
Yeah. So yeah, I think we've gone on long enough.
I would say so. Well, thank you everyone who watched up to this point. Be sure to like, subscribe, and leave your questions in for the mid-December episode number 20.
Yep. We will catch you all later.